Hello, and welcome to Up to Standard, a program that highlights the activities of the St. Kitts-Nevis Bureau of Standards. I am your host, Carissa Franks Benjamin. Leading up to World Metrology Day 2021 on May 20th, the Metrology Department of the St. Kitts-Nevis Bureau of Standards gave us a glimpse of the ongoing work of the department. We first caught up with the department on their visit to the Green Valley gas station, where they verified the fuel pumps.
Morning, my name is Iron Odain. I'm an engineer with the St. Kitts-Nevis Bureau of Standards, and today we are conducting the verification of the fuel pumps. This is a normal exercise that we do, but we also thought it was important that the nation get an idea of what activities the St. Kitts-Nevis Bureau of Standards conduct, especially the Metrology Services unit. We are also celebrating World Metrology Day on the 20th of May. This is the celebration of the signing of the Meter Convention, which brought to the forefront the use of the international system of units. Okay. Metrology is the science of measurement. It involves both a theoretical and practical approach to the use of measurement. In St. Kitts-Nevis, we currently do two types of metrology, which is legal and industrial metrology, where we verify the instruments used in both industry and in trade. We more focus on scales and balances, and for volume, fuel dispensers. What it means is that whether you buy a pound of potato in Sandy Point or I buy it in Charlestown, you will get the exact same pound. Whether you buy a gallon of gas in Sandy Point or in Gingerland, you get the same gallon of gas.
He shared with us the process of verification.
We conduct a series of tests based on an international standard, and from those measurements taken, we would either pass or fail each nozzle. So each nozzle within the Federation of St. Kitts-Nevis has already been verified by the St. Kitts-Nevis Bureau of Standards. Once you see the St. Kitts-Nevis Bureau of Standards sticker, then you could have that assurity that you are getting what you paid for. Unfortunately, we cannot do much about the rising cost of gasoline, but we can ensure that if you buy a gallon of gas, you're actually getting a gallon of gas. Verification is done in cycles. Each cycle is 6 months. So we do it every 6 months, we do a verification. Also, we have a surveillance where between that 6 months we will randomly check the fuel nozzles to make sure that they are still within specification. In terms of the scale, yes, we do the scales as well, but scales are done on a yearly basis.
In the verification process, 5 gallons of gas was dispensed to ensure that customers were indeed getting 5 gallons.
This is an electronic based pump, so right now they'll be doing some adjustments to the pump. So a code is entered, and then we would run some tests to ensure that we are actually getting the 5 gallons. He will then, once we are sure that we are getting the 5 gallons, then the value will be locked into the pump, and then we would do a re-verification. So the procedure is do an adjustment, then do a recalibration, do a re-verification. Because we haven't used the prover, this is the standard that we use. It's called a surfing volume prover. 5 gallons. Because we haven't used it in a while, what we do, we would wet the prover with gasoline first to avoid any, to reduce any thermal expansion within the prover. Once the prover has been rinsed with a little bit of gasoline, then we would then dispense 5 gallons of gasoline into the prover, and that is to ensure that 5 gallons of gasoline is actually being dispensed from the nozzle. We are now doing the verification, so you can see it's already all the fuel has already been dispensed. It's about 5 gallons, and we can check indicator indicates that 5 gallons were dispensed. And if we go down, we would see the meniscus is exactly at 0. So now here we have verification. So we do one more run, which will be a start-stop. That's to verify that if there's any if there's any variation in the speed in which the fuel is dispensed, that the amount being dispensed would not change. So we're going to do a start-stop, and that would be it for this nozzle.
What is the importance or the significance of the speed in dispensation?
Well, all the mechanisms of the pump supposed to whether you go at a fast speed or at a slow speed, the final volume should be the same. It should not vary. So if it varies, then that is an indication that something is wrong with the dispenser, and we would have to try to recalibrate it again, to do an adjustment again, and then do a re-verification. If we realize that it's not dispensing properly, that means something mechanically is wrong with it, and then we would have to ask them not to dispense and not to sell any gasoline from the particular nozzle. Yeah. That's what, as was explained earlier, this would be rechecked again in October, 6 months from now.
Lennox Liebert, part owner of the gas station, explained why it was important for his pumps to be verified.
This exercise is timely. Why? My main purpose is to give my customers value for their money. One of my main purpose is to satisfy our customers here. And as I would say to my employees, without my customers, without the respect for my customers, without the service that would be rendered to them, without them, we would have to close this gas station down. And so to have your Bureau of Standards here today to validate and to make sure that the pumps are functioning properly, or the dispensers, I think it's a timely exercise.
The metrology department also made their way to several health centers to calibrate the scales.
Today we are at the Newtown Health Center, and we will be carrying out a verification of a scale. Also, we'll be conducting a small survey for us to be able to assess the demand of the clinic and also other clinics throughout the island.
Okay, what other clinics are you going to?
We'll be going to the McKnight Health Center, and we'll also be visiting the Old Road Clinic as well.
Okay, and why is it important for these scales to be calibrated?
Well, based on the weight, the healthcare professionals would give a prescription or tell persons whether they are obese or not obese, and a lot of medical decisions are based upon the weight. So we are here to ensure that they're actually able to measure accurately.
And you said this is part of the World Metrology Day.
Yes, it's the theme for this year's World Metrology Day is measurements for health. So in St. Kitts-Nevis, we think it's important for us as the St. Kitts-Nevis Bureau of Standards to have more of an outreach program and awareness program between us and the health sector. And we are starting with the health centers at this point.
Is this an ongoing activity of the metrology department?
Yes, we'll be conducting it throughout the year. We're starting with health centers, then we'll go to the medical practitioners, the laboratories, and so forth. For us to get a better feel of what the demands are, for us to be able to develop our own metrology program suited for our health sector.
Okay, I understand that you'll be visiting the Bronte Welch Primary School for World Metrology Day. Tell me more about this.
Well, we also think it's important that we do some education of the youths when it comes to metrology. And this year we have selected the Bronte Welch Primary School to conduct a small presentation and to have some activities around metrology for the students of grade 6.
Okay, so just grade 6?
Yes, we're focusing on grade 6 this year.
Why just grade 6?
Well, we think that grade 6 is a unique time when you're not in high school, but you're just leaving the primary school, and we think that a lot of the information that we'll give them, they'll be able to digest, they'll be able to take home to their parents, and the parents would be able to, we'll be able to get some of the information that we want to get out there.
Okay, anything else you would want to add?
Well, I just want to encourage persons to, when they visit the doctors, to ask questions about calibration, to ask doctors whether the instruments are calibrated. If they go to have tests, that these tests are also calibrated instruments used by the analytical institutions, that they are actually having their instruments calibrated.
Okay, and why is calibration important?
Because what calibration does is calibration ensures that the instrument is accurate. It also ensures that there is traceability to some sort of a reference, whether it is a national standards or it is an international standards. And this also applies to chemicals as well. Instrumentation that may use other naturally occurring phenomena, like use radiation and so forth, that they are also measuring accurately. So there's some examples where calibration is very important in medicine. There's some examples, unfortunately, because instruments were not calibrated, persons would have died. One such case is a case in Trinidad whereby persons were dying because they were being overdosed, and an investigation showed that the device that was supposed to deliver the medication was actually giving more than it should have, and that was picked up. And it was picked up that if the device had been calibrated, that these persons would have not succumbed to the cancer. There are also cases where persons would have gotten the person would have gotten sonograms, and one doctor would say, you have a mass. You go to another doctor, the doctor will say, but I'm not seeing anything. And what happened is that these disparities are because the instruments were not calibrated. So you cannot actually tell whether somebody has an illness or not if your instrument is not calibrated. Doctors now again use measurements for assessing how the gestation period of a baby is also used. They use measurements, and if these measurements are not taken, someone may be thinking that they're 7 months pregnant when they're actually further along 8 months pregnant, and something else could happen. When we look at medicine, for example, if persons are not given the right amount of medication, they can either be overdosed or the treatment will not be effective. So we have to always keep in mind that having an accurate measurement, both for the diagnosis as well as for the treatment, is important.
And that's all the time we have for today. Join us again next time for Up to Standard.